Good morning, folks. I've had to come to an underground car park because the weather is terrible, the wind is flying and the rain is sheeting in from all sides, so I've had to make an underground car park. But no matter, we're here to see the Peugeot 3008 HGI. No point in getting it washed, it's just manky. I'm going to show you this car back to front. There's a reason behind that, because some of the most important features of it are in the boot. Let me show you. First off, you have a split boot lid. Okay, now that boot lid can actually carry people. You can sit in it, you can sit on it, you can actually sit a couple of people on it if you want to. Now, also in here, you have a flat floor entry. Okay, it's not very tall, but it's very flat. But this is the most important part. Let me show you the best part of this. If you come back, you got too much stuff in your hands, you got some wet gear, just pull that and drop it in up there, and you have a split boot. Okay, so you've room on top, room on the bottom. Now, if you want to, you can also drop it right into the floor, and so now you've got a really deep boot, goes right down to the bottom. Or just have it as a split, as you had it before. Now that's very light to use in case anyone's panicking. That's not very heavy. It's very strong, but not very heavy. Also in the boot, you have one of the most ingenious things I've seen in a while, which is to be able to drop the two back seats from handles here. So I go bang, bang, instant flat floor all the way through. That's very sensible. When you're carrying something very long and it's hanging around the back of the car, that's very, very smart. Also in the boot, your boot light is a torch. Okay? It's charged by the car, so it's a rechargeable torch. Always there in the boot. Also you have a 12-volt socket right here, which is quite useful. And that's kind of it. There's a cargo net over here, should you ever want one. You've got a full cargo net thing to stop things flying forward. That's also in the boot. Really, really, really smart boot. As smart as it gets, really. Okay? As smart as it gets. That's the best boot I've seen so far, especially with the split folding tailgate. That's just ingenious. The point is, this thing can be taken completely out if you don't want it in there at all, as a plank. Okay? Now if you're carrying something maybe very tall, like a potted plant or something, you chop the top off it, I suppose that'd be a sensible idea. But like I said, that's very light. Okay, it's very light, so don't panic, females or males who are very weak. You'll be able to do this. Split the boot, close it up again just as you had it before. You're back to square one. One of the most sensible boots I've seen on the market so far. Keep an eye on that one. Let me show you the back seats. Pretty good too. Now, the front seat, the driver's seat, is set for me, so I'm going to show you now. Alright, legroom. My knees are actually touching the seat. Now I've set my seat back maybe a little bit further than I would normally because it's quite a comfy car. But back here, there's no manoeuvring in the seat. Okay, it doesn't move forward or back. You do get two air vents for back here. You can't turn them. You can turn them off, but you can't control the temperature as usual. And you do get a centre armrest. There is room enough in here for 3 adults. 2 car seats and an adult would be a stretch. Alright, you do get rear electric windows, and you do get conveniently little blinds on the windows, same as do most of the French models. That's very smart. That should be in every car. Anything that's publicised as a family car should have that. And that's the back seat. Okay folks, here's the front seat for you. In here, now sit in a bit. In here I have a array of stuff. We'll have to go through it nice and slowly, but there's a ton of stuff. This is undoubtedly one of the nicest cabins I've sat in. Places to be. I'm not saying finisher materials or anything else, just a place to be. It's a very pleasant driver's seat to sit here. What is relevant is that you have electronic handbrake, you have dual zone climate control, you have cruise control speed limiter, you have Bluetooth hands-free phone which controls the radio and controls MP3. There is a USB port, there is an aux connection, there is a heads-up display which I'll show in a few minutes, there is traffic distance. There's probably a more technical name for that, but it actually tells you how far away the car in front is. And there's a glass roof above me, so I have a little sunshade I can open as well. And that's just gives you a flavour of what it feels like in here. The centre console armrest is chilled. Okay, it's a chill box as well. There's footlights, there is a little thing up here to tell you if the kids are wearing a seat belt, or anyone in the car hasn't got a seat belt on. There's a very standard plain dashboard, which absolutely perfect for the car. Don't get me wrong, it's not a criticism, that is the way it should be. There's nothing to distract you from it. Undoubtedly in here I have a ton of legroom, although it does encroach a bit on the back seats. And I also have one of the nicest arm spaces, tons of room in here to actually sit and look around you and be here. It's one of the best cabins on the market at the moment, not necessarily from fit and finish, just as a place to be. It's very pleasant in here. There's nothing, it's not a huge big swash of black, it's just a nice place to be. Plus a very chunky steering wheel, a big lump of a thing in front of you. Anyway, let's get on the road and I'll show you some of the rest of the stuff that's in here as well. Now, as I said, 3008 has one of the nicest interiors I've been in, and not because of the materials, just because it's a nice place to be. The gear shift is just in front of me, but almost level with me, so it's up rather than having to reach down for it. I just reach out for it, and that's very good. I'm above the pedals and I have a very high seating position, so I'm looking out over the road all the time. And I have a big chunky steering wheel. In front of me, I have a fairly bog standard stereo out of all the Peugeots. You've seen it before many times, but there's a decent sound out of it, and it does have an MP3 connectivity under here, under the armrest, which is a good place for it. It kind of tidies it up out of the way. The only one complaint I have about anything in the interior is something that's a little bit of a, well, it's just an oversight, I think. They hinged the armrest box to open towards me, so it comes up here to this side, so I can't see into it to actually get anything out of it. It should hinge the other way, but they obviously didn't change it because obviously this car is made in France and the steering wheel is usually over there rather than over here. But it's a very minor thing, okay? It's a fairly small, but may prove significant to somebody, problem. Now, functionality wise, in front of me I have a heads-up display. That's currently just displaying my speed. I don't need to know any more information at the moment, but it can display your distance to the car in front of you. That's an option on most of the cars, apart from this one, which is an SV model. It's the top spec SV. It also displays your speed limiter and cruise control information, and that's all it displays. It's very good. It can be turned off. You can just click a little button here and turn it off, get rid of it. If you find that you can't see it in bright sunlight, you can adjust it and flip it back and push it forward so you can always see it. It's just clear perspex, and that's the smart part. Rather than displaying it up onto the windscreen, it's just a little sheet of perspex that comes up on the dashboard and sits in front of you. Now, also standard on the SV model is this glass roof, and I'll show you. Flick of a switch, and I pull back a huge big blind that goes right to the back of the car, and the kids love it. I'd say the kids really like it. I like it too, though. It does brighten up the cabin. Unfortunately, on a great day, it does make it a bit glary in here, I suppose, but that's not a big deal. Just press the button and off she goes again and shuts. It's powered by a 1.6 litre HDI engine. That puts out 110 brake horsepower, and it's enough. Now, this is a big car, and you have this feeling that you're going to be able to tow things in it and, you know, do stuff in it. So, I don't know, I maybe prefer a 2 litre diesel actually in this one, but 1.6 is enough. It certainly gets it around. Road handling is sublime. For a car of its size, you can really turn it in and it stays flat through the corners. It's very good. I've never seen such a tall car been able to do that. If there's an active chassis or something on the back, some sort of suspension setup that does dampen the corners and make it flatter through the corners as you're driving along. All in all, a very, very good package. And take my advice, folks, get the hood. Get the hood. You won't regret it. I promise you, you won't regret it. It's very good. I never have to take my eyes off the road for a second. And I'm sure you've heard the ad on the radio for the Peugeots, and they say about never have to take your eyes off the road. And it's actually true. Just below my normal eye line, just as I'm looking out on the road and I can see a cat cross the road ahead of me, I can see things happening, and I glance down, I can see I'm doing 52 kilometers an hour. Better slow down to I'll put on my speed limiter as well. Do cruise speed limit, turn on, and the car will just sap all the power out of the engine immediately and drop me down to 50 kilometers an hour. That's true. When you drop below your assigned speed, when you drop right the way down and you accelerate, you find that the car will just that's your limit. Okay, so no matter what you do now, it won't go any faster. But if you put your foot down, it will let you override it in case you're going to overtake. The cruise control is brilliant, and one really smart point about this car is, honest, works especially on a motorway, is the range to the car in front. Now, in this country, and in every country, and in every driving situation, you should never be any closer to anyone than 2 seconds. And for years, when I was growing up, they always had an ad on the television, only a fool breaks the 2 second rule. Now, that works by the car in front of me passes an object, a stationary object on the road, and I say the phrase, only a fool breaks the 2 second rule. And I shouldn't have passed that object yet. That takes approximately 2 seconds to say. That's all scrubbed, because now we have radar. Okay, this thing latches onto the car in front of me and tells me how far away I am from that car all the time, and it comes up on my hood. Now I can turn that off as well if I don't want to. Just switch here on the dashboard for turning that very thing off. But I don't want to turn it off. I want to leave it on because it's very smart, especially on a motorway when you're flying along behind someone. You think you're actually maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds behind them. But really, you're only 2 or 1.5. And when you get below 1 second, the car will bring up a big yellow triangle in front of you on the hood to tell you you're just too close now. If he brakes, you're not going to be able to stop in time. Very sensible. I'm telling you, absolutely very sensible.